Meteorologist Makayla Lucero joining us right now. Makayla, I think for a lot of us that are watching the video out there, we're trying to just get our minds around something as devastating like this. There are a lot of questions about how this could have potentially been prevented, the sort of loss of life and those that are still missing. But let's talk about the science of the storm. It seemed like that storm surge not only grew quickly, but it also moved rapidly as well, decimating those communities as we saw.
Larry, this situation is, I would even just say, more than 1 in a million. For that much rain to fall that quickly in the exact right spot, it's so difficult to forecast something like that. And I was looking at how wide is the Guadalupe River.
Yeah.
It is a long river, but at its widest, it's a couple hundred feet. So it's not this huge river. So this forecast, even if that heavy rain were to have shifted even a football field or two to one side, to the west, to the east, to the north, this could be a completely different situation. So yes, this is wildly devastating. This is an incredibly devastating situation, and it shows you how difficult forecasting things like this can be. But for water to rise almost a foot a minute, that is just so difficult to wrap your mind around. And let's think about that. Think about when you're filling up your bathtub.
Right.
You know, let's say your bathtub is 2 feet deep. How long does it take to fill that up?
Yeah, quite a couple minutes. Yeah.
Right. So think about that much water. Think about how slowly that bathtub is filling up, and that's about 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
Now imagine that in your home. You're seeing that water rise so quickly. That is just so much water so quickly, and water can be so devastating. So seeing this, you know, as your scientist, it is so devastating, and it's hard to see a forecast. It's hard to forecast something like this because it is so tightly, it's in such a small area. You know, you see it and you think, okay, if this rain was just a little further this way, completely different forecast. If it was just a little further that way, completely different situation. So it's very difficult to see, and it hits you hard as a forecaster because you want to be able to get it perfectly right, but it's hard to see.
And I think the other reporting that we're getting as well is that folks there on the ground, those in those communities, saying that they weren't given sort of the appropriate warnings about what potentially was coming their way. Of course, we'll sift through all of that in the days to come. Right now is about the ongoing search and recovery that is taking place there. But I'd imagine that when we're thinking about those fast-moving waters, also what's in the water contributing to the devastation as well.
Absolutely. And let's talk about two of those things, Larry. You talked about the alerts, and you talked about what's in the water. So for the alert situation, that's why it is so important to have a way to get weather information. If you have your cell phone, make sure that you have alerts that are turned on. You know, sometimes you download an app and you don't allow location or notification services. So make sure those alerts are turned on so you can get an alert from some sort of weather app that you have. Now, when we talk about what's in the water, it can be very, very dangerous, especially in states like Texas, where there are lots of critters who are also being displaced. You have snakes and you have fish. You've got all sorts of different animals that are out there that are going to be in that water, but you also have to think about sewer debris. There is just trash and really nasty stuff in that water that can make even just that flowing water not only dangerous because of how much water it is, but because of the contaminants inside of it.
Incredible.
And Larry, you were saying just a few minutes ago that yes, there is a chance for more rain, and we already see it right here on the radar. So we're watching some pockets of heavy rainfall moving through portions of Texas right now near the San Antonio area. Now, just to the north of New Braunfels is where I was watching yesterday. They're getting a touch of a break, but that's all expected to change as another round of rain comes through.